switched from legacy Excels going back and forth to now machine learning doing the work. And believe me, no one in our team is a data scientist. So you basically are learning, you're adapting, you're running these models, and you can do it. I mean, it's not like you need to hire special talent to do that.
Welcome to The Real Deal, an audio series that spotlights our customers' real, day-to-day work challenges and their compelling before and after workday stories. The only voices you'll hear in these recordings are those of our customers, so you'll get no marketing spin and no hype. Just the real deal. In this episode, we talk with Matt Castongway, SVP of Finance Analytics and Supply Chain, and Pranay Arya, Director of Corporate Finance Planning and Analysis and Data Science at Team Car Care. Team Car Care is the largest franchisee of Jiffy Lube stores, serving nearly 5 million customers each year. They have 4,200 employees and recorded $430 million in revenue last year. They've been running live on Workday Financials, HCM, and Adaptive since 2022. Today, Matt and Pranay will explain how Workday Machine Learning is used to provide business planning forecasts across their 500-plus car maintenance service centers coast to coast. In addition, Workday performed a full tune-up for Team Car Care with its financial management, accounting center, and adaptive planning tools. Enjoy.
I joined 3 years ago. Walking in, they were sitting on a 20-year-old financial system. And when I say 20-year-old, I mean it was implemented 20 years ago. And what happens is people adapt, and what they can't get out of the system, they'll build around it. And so you end up with a lot of manual and hodgepodge, business processes. We had a basic planning tool. I think, it was more recently installed, but I would call it more of a database, not necessarily a forecasting tool. In addition to the financials being fairly manual, we also had a lot of manual interaction on the HCM side. We came from an implementation with, we implemented ADP a few years back, and implementation wasn't perfect, and the system wasn't perfect either. And so identifying that was a problem for our field as part of this exploration, in addition to our financials. We also had a hard time, saying, all right, this is the truth. This is the master data. This is the single source. And, we were at risk with key headcount turnover. So if one person who's a specialist leaves, it's because we don't have standardized processes. It's very hard to replace that without having issues.
There was a lack of visibility. So, you would see your P&Ls at the end of the day, but you don't know what's driving those numbers out, right? And that kind of created a trust issue, and that was one of the things that led us to Workday. We basically have 52 district managers out there. They know their stores the best. So the machine learning model is going to build out their traffic forecast for them, right? Now, the machine learning model doesn't really know that, hey, has a competitor opened up a store right next door, or what are the market situations in that particular area? And that's where we actually have the field leaders go in and tweak the data to update it, to right size it. So yes, it is the FP&A team that will be building those models out, but then you would have a collaborative sessions with the field leaders to say, is this number right? If not, there is always an override or adjustment available for them to deal with. We do that for forecast and for budgeting, both. Ultimately, you don't want to say like, hey, 6 months ago, we budgeted you for this. Guess what? You're stuck with this the remaining year. And that's where the rolling forecast really comes in. There was a store which literally had 2 years of, oil on hand, which allows the store manager to now have the deeper level of understanding of, let's say, I should not be buying this. I should be buying something else. Or where can they better focus their working capital on? Which again, think about it like just one store, maybe a small number. but add up 500 stores across the portfolio, and it's a sizable saving. Think about, as customers are coming in, if it's really cold outside, if it's, a winter storm time, no one's going to show up, or you'll have hardly anyone coming into your stores. So imagine a pre-workday environment where you're still staffing your stores to be fully staffed, but there's no one there. And then after the storm's over, everything normalizes and you have all that backlog coming into your stores. And then you're understaffed at that point in time, right? So what the temperature data allowed us to do is forecast in real time to say, when do we actually expect more guests to show up, and when do we expect fewer guests to show up, which really tied into the workforce planning model to say, how do we staff each of our stores independently? And I mean, in retail business, everything starts with a customer. So on top of the P&L, you have your customers, and as Matt touched upon, right, how and when are they coming in? That really helped us create value. It's reduced our labor overtimes to a great extent, and also helped the stores understand how they should be seen as customer distributions and how they should be prepared for it.
It's visibility, right? And it's visibility centrally, which, you think about it from an audit perspective, but you also think about it as a driver perspective. And that's led us to discover issues, within operations, within leadership, within back office, and also our ability to make decisions becomes a lot faster, right? You're not doing custom reporting every time you have a question. The data is all at your fingertips. Coming from FP&A, when we think about Workday, is there were a lot of ahas when we first started seeing the system, and some of those things were data, in the sense of how Workday allows you to tag and cut data so many different ways, which has always been a pain point for FP&A and accounting alike. And then business process framework. So, the ability to easily drive automation and processes directly in the system across all areas of the business really kind of triggered that initial conversation with Workday, and subsequently ended up also adding in the HR components because of the material difference that it would make for our business to really have Workday as not just a back office system, but really an operational platform, all the way from planning to reporting and managing the team and holding people accountable, and those two things connected tightly. The point of sale is managed by Jiffy Lube themselves from a systems perspective. So we can't just go in and make changes as we please, right? And that created some challenges for us in point of sale data. And so when we were thinking about key areas that we need to focus on, the first one was sales to cash. And all starting with bringing in from our point of sale line level detail from our invoices. So every customer invoice line item. So what did they buy? How much was it for? But we didn't just do what was needed to cut over our financials and post the books on a regular basis. We actually thought about other systems that we were maintaining to do reporting, and said, all right, what are all the metrics that we think about that are important for us to be including in Workday, so that we can look at the business and not just the financials. We actually bring the data in from point of sale every hour and post it to the GL on a daily basis. And that includes in that data who worked on the car, whether it was the salesperson, whether it was the upper bay technician, the person down in the pit, the mechanic, all those different functionalities or team members that are part of every customer interaction. What techniques did they use in servicing that customer, what tools, what type of product they were using, and really a pretty robust set of data that ultimately is a bottoms up of how we manage the team. Even if it's not directly from POS, it's still being tied back to a specific invoice, a specific salesperson. And today we actually pay bonuses right from that data because we're tagging it with those extra attributes. We pay bonuses directly from that data on a biweekly, monthly, quarterly basis.
Labor is one of the primary line items in the P&L. So managing that is important. And again, going back, how much overtime versus how much regular. So it's again driven by traffic. You know how much time it takes for you to do a service. You know how many services you're selling out. So that helps us create our workforce planning model. We actually do it by day. The granularity is pretty much in there. And also trying to figure out, you're doing X number of oil changes, so how much labor do you need for that? There's some stores out there which do special services. You need to get more labor into that. So all of that was made really easy by the adaptive planning tool. Taking a 4-month planning session and turning into a real-time conversations with field leaders where a district manager is going and entering their data out and seeing real-time updates using dashboards and reports. That was a really, oh, wow, that's really great. Creates more trust between the team members. It allows us then to, put more of our time into analysis and creating stories out to say, okay, what's really driving these things out, right?
It's really people in operations, people in the field, people running the stores, talking to customers every day, empower them to be able to solve their own problems within reason with guardrails. And they'll feel more empowered, and is also creating a ton of efficiency for you on the back end. If you really want your team to manage and own the financials and be able to trust them and trust the people involved with them, they can't just be fed a hard-coded spreadsheet. They need to be able to understand and be able to dig in and do it easily, because the team is much more focused on servicing customers than it is learning new technology platforms. And so moving all to one platform with similar functionality across it, allowing people to be able to dig in and see both people data and supplier data and sales data, all embedded within our financials. You really are able to see it as operational, not just a wall of numbers.